meet up that requirements. The functions are actually built in the community-based access policy of the administrative model. So they have dealt with the little bit different way. We haven't seen all those things in the TNM. Here they thought they can introduce a terminology community-based access policy of the administrative model. So one or two things has been introduced in this one. That the community word will be introduced, policy and profile. Three things will be introduced in this SNMP model. Through that, they are able to have a communication or have an access to the manager with an agent. So what are they? Through that way, they try to implement some security level in this one. That is, you can call it up. So we are going to see what is a community, what is a profile, and what is a policy. We can have it up there. Access policy or claim policy, you can call it up there. So three things have been introduced in the SNMP. How they will manipulate the communication, how they can have it up so that that communication happen with a manager and agent would be in a secured way. How the agent will recognize the manager, how the community will be supported, all those things. So what is community, what is an access policy, what is a profile, we'll see it in the later slides. So the functions should be actually through all those things only. So access policy or the community, we can define something, or we can say the policy profiles, we can put it across, everything will be defined. Now we are moving to the next one, which says it is a normal request. I hope you have seen what the one earlier we never have the get next request from that TNM. We can say set, get, cancel, and delete. All those things are available. Here the SNMP and agent application or the manager application can have a get request, get next request, or set request, get response, or trap. Trap is a thing we know what is a notification. It is not an operational one services. It's a notification services, which is happened in the CMISC. The same thing it would happen in the agent. There is no individual protocol we are putting it up. The SNMP protocol itself do all this work on this one. So commonly at SNMP, there we have seen so many different protocols. Here the SNMP is the one which is carried out all this operation on behalf of the application side. So it's a trap is one thing. Trap is a get response, and trap is a one thing which will be sent by the agent to the manager. All other requests has been placed from the manager to agent. Here there is a question mark consequence. Who is a manager and why? Whether the manager has the right to access all the agents' profiles or all the agents' MIB which has been stored in the agent or object access. So they decided to have some authentication methodologies to access from the manager to the agent. The same thing also applicable to the agent to the manager. So how I can authenticate myself saying I am the manager, I am the agent, I have the access right to access all this MIB. Why the MIB accessing should be very secure. We want it up in a secured way to keep it up there. Because any person who can get the security code, or you can call it up some authentication code, can able to manipulate the device itself. Their parameters, they can able to manipulate. So they need some security, very small level of security issues. They can introduce in the V1 and V2. That is why your community or profile or access policy has been created in this one. So it's a simple task because we are not having an object-oriented. We have so many things in an object-oriented manner. You cannot be able to easily access anything unless you have a written program and you go and get it up through a method, and instance has to be created and everything. Here it seems to be very simple. The agent will create an MIB for that one, and whichever MIB they need it up or whichever MIB they can access, they are keep it with themselves within that one. Every network element can install application software, application as a manager application software or their agent application software, or both the things can be installed. Then within the network element, the agent can access the MIB created by it. So it's a combination of everything will be sit inside the physical entities. So within the physical entity, I can have two types of softwares. Application, I can call it up. One is a manager or an agent, or single application, either agent or the manager. Then within that one, I can have a database MIB. The object criteria will be filled up. So all the things will come across as a software install in the network elements here. Now we are going to see the administrative model. then that administrator model will help you to understand what is in the community is going to be, how it is. It is a community profile and policy. Remember what you said earlier, these terms will be introduced in this one based on the administrative model. They all say there is an application entities which is in the network stations and network elements. Station is a one which is called a manager or managing one. The manage object is one network elements which carries them. So who is a manager and who is an agent, or you can have it both in a single network elements. They call it up as an application entities. So I can install the manager application entity in one network element, and I can install another one in the agent thing, or I can install the manager application in my server itself. They can be act as a manager. Remaining network elements along that way are the network which has to be managed by the manager, or the server has to be install the agent application there. So the protocol entities have they after you complete all this communication happening within the SNMP application sites, then how they able to communicate with another one is going to be through your PDU handlers. Already you have come to know what is a PDU, right? Packet data unit is a PDU. Then the peer process that support the application entities will go across. You come to know UDP is one of the thing which is which would support all those things. Have you gone through the UDP and TCP in your network, computer networks? Anybody answer? Don't type it up. I am not able to see it up. Have you gone through the TCP or UDP in your classes, computer network classes? Somebody answer, ma. Answer through your voice. Unmute your mic and answer. Have you gone through network layer? So it seems to be you are not listening either computer network or TN or the network management. Am I right? Somebody answer. I just want to know whether you people have whether you gone through the TCP or UDP in your computer network? Learn the terms. Now tell me, have you learned that one in your computer network class? Nitya Lashmi? Nitya Lashmi? Nishanti? Somebody answer, ma. Unless you answer, I am not going to carry out this one. Somebody answer, have you gone through the TCP or UDP in your computer networks? I'm not asking about my subject. I'm just asking what you know about the TCP or UDP. Or if you're not, just tell me if you're not. Swati, you switch on your mic and answer me.
Ma'am.
Now tell me, have you gone through your TCP or UDP?
படிச்சிருக்கோம் மேம் டிசிபி யூடிபி.
TCP முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா நெட்வொர்க் எல்லாம் இதுல லேயர் அதுல நெட்வொர்க் லேயர் முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா
மேம்?
நெட்வொர்க் லேயர்ஸ் முடிஞ்சிச்சா உங்களுக்கு?
இல்ல மேம் நடத்திட்டு இருக்காரு மேம் சார்.
ஓகே, யார் மைக்கேல் சார் நடத்துறாரா?
இல்ல ஞானவேல் சார் நடத்துறாங்க மேம்.
ஐபி முடிச்சிட்டா? ஐபி முடியலனா?
நெட் புரோட்டோகால்.
சரி. ஓகே, யூடிபினா யூடிபிக்கு டிசிபிக்கு வித்தியாசம் தெரியுமா? அப்ப என்ன படிச்சிட்டு இருக்கீங்க?
கண்ட்ரோல் புரோட்டோகால். யூடிபினா யூசர் டேட்டாகிராம் புரோட்டோகால். இதுதான் மேம் தெரியும்.
ஓகே. அது ரெண்டுக்கு வித்தியாசம் இருக்குன்னா தெரியுமா?
டக்குன்னு சொல்ல வரல.
ரெண்டே சரி, ஓகே, அது ஒண்ணும் நான் அதை பத்தி ஒரி பண்ணல. கான்செப்டா என்ன அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணீங்கன்னு கேட்கறேன். ரெண்டும் ஒரே இதுல ரன் பண்ண முடியாது, அது தெரியுமா உங்களுக்கு? TCP UDPயும் ஒரே இதுல ரன் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. either you can have a TCP or you can have an UDP. அது தெரியுமா? TCP IP தான் அந்த டேர்மாவே. TCP IP or UDP IP it's going to TCP IP தானே அந்த டேர்ம் எப்பவுமே. Internet suite is, we will call it up
ஆமா
sometime
மேம்
TCP
டிசிபி ஐபி தான்
IP.
இருக்கும்.
So TCP and the higher layer is going to be an IP if it is IP is available. IP is the only protocol internet suite is running it up. So it's IPv4 or V6 version is going to be there. TCP is one of the thing, or either you use DUDP or TCP. But here the network management application is runs on the UDP. There is a difference. One is a connection oriented and the another one is a connectionless. Connection means I have an established association before I just get into sending some packet or speaking to one another. If I haven't established a connection, suppose you are sending it up through it's a best example for UDP is mailbox. You just stick it out, you write a letter and put it in a cover and paste it up and put it in the post box. It doesn't mean that you already have a communication with the person saying, wait, my letter will come across. It is an oral one. He never expected to be within the seconds it will reach them. So after you post a letter also, you can send a message. After receiving after 4 or 5 days, you don't know how long it will take you to a person to reach it up there. So the UDP is like that way. They never speak before they try to send it up or any letters or any of this data packet. But TCP is not like that way. It is like your phone communication. You both have to pick the phone, then only you have a comment. There you establishing a communication, then you say hello or something, whatever message you want to communicate. That is, connection has been established when you go for a TCP. If the connection is not established, it's a connectionless, it's going to be a UDP. But don't get confused. Connection should be either a wired one or wireless one, right? It doesn't mean Wi-Fi is a connectionless one or wired is a connection oriented one. It is not that one. Connection, TCP can run on wired as well as wireless. Whichever manner you are having establishing a connection, whichever manner you speak with the person, either I can make a call through internet or I can put it up with a WhatsApp or I can make it a call through a your normal telephone exchange. I can put it up there. So either way, I can through a wired one or I can through a Wi-Fi, I can speak to one another. But I both have to pick up the phone and say they have to establish a communication before they utter a single word to one another. Then that is your connection oriented protocol you are using it up. If it is in a connectionless protocol, they never bother about to inform the other person that I am sending a letter, I am sending something, or I am going to speak to you. Nothing. They never bother about to have an established communication. They can just post it up and forget about it up. So the person, whenever the person receives all those things, then only come to know the person has sent, somebody has sent something to them. So they say connectionless word. That is, beforehand, you need not worry about to establish a communication with that person or inform the person that I am so and so is going to send so and so information to you. That is a connection. What is the benefit of having an UDP rather than having a TCP is you need not to spend some time with this another person to pick the call and wait for the connection and everything. You need not to bother about on the way to your work. You just drop the letter in the post box and go across. You need not to spend time. The time it means it's a cost. So the UDP says if there is no need to spend such a time for me, unless it's an emergency, you need not worry about it. You can happily say UDP is a well-versed protocol. It's a best effort protocol. It tries best to try to reach the end destination. That is why the SNMP is a one which sit across on a UDP and says, I gather the information and put it across the UDP and put it. They don't have that such an emergency to establish a connection with the agent or the manager, from the agent or from the manager to the opponent party to have it up in a TCP bit. So another thing is you have to, if you are using a TCP, bandwidth has to be utilized to have a three-way handshake. I hope that TCP has been come across. Three-way handshake has to be established. There is no need to have it a three-way handshake for this one. So it isn't easy to go across without having all those things. So spending a time means it's spending a bandwidth. It means it's a cost. So you need not spend time, you need not spend bandwidth, you need not spend cost for this UDP communication. You just leave it up the UDP and it will do the work on its own time. That is why best effort on its own time. If it is lost along that way, then you have to resend the letter. That is another complications you have to carry out. But most of the time it will try best to reach it up. That is why SNMP is not such a one of the very urgent requirements or urgent application. They never bother about with the TCP or to to spend some amount for that application. So it will happily run on the UDP application. That is what it has been given in this one. Based on the profile username protocol entities, the communication process happens with the PDU handlers. Then peer processes that support application entities, where the process which is go across each and every time, they will add it up and put across all those getters and tail, everything comes in this way. Then what is in the community? It's the way they have defined the community says you have a community base. Through that community based activity, they try to put some security in this one. So they try to give some name for the community and they call it up as a security code. I can call it up as a security code or authentication code, any code I call it up. But V1 and V2 carry these things along with this community-based security. But V3 has changed in a way. V3 thought that community need not to be one of the things which can strangle this all those activities, or it has to be predefined or created earlier. That thing it never bother about, because we are in the fast world, or we are the V3 has been introduced, version has been changed over. We are in the different type of softwares and technologies and comes across. They thought user can be utilized instead of the community. So we will see it up in the later in the V3. This is one of the changes. We from V2, V1 to V3 there. So authentication scheme in the manager and agent. So as I told earlier, community based, some code will be used as an authentication from the manager or from the agent to the other party. So it's a pairing of two application entities. It's paired with the one, either you can call it up. It is a one to many, many to one, or many to many. It depends upon how we are putting up the community name is a string of factors. That is, if you know the community name, another thing is, if you know the community name, you can able to access that MIB which has been allowed you to. That is one of the drawback of this one. But the community name itself is an authentication code. Right? Suppose I am having a password that I keep as a community code or a community name for that one. That will identify me, as well as that will allow the other person to access whatever the MIB they are having with themselves. So that is the authentication code. It's called as a community name also, equal to community name. We are using the community name as an authentication code for the person who is sending it up for accessing some MIB, accessing some object, right? Then the community string of factor, two applications, the same community communicate with each other through their community name. Application could have multiple community names. So depending upon the application, it's either manager or agent or some other application you run it up there. Third party MOM is going to be another one. So in this case, it can have a multiple community names. I can have so many community names for different persons connected with it. I can, it is like I can be called by my children in a different name. I can be, my children and I myself have a communication. Then I can have a code name for the parenting side. So that code name will be as a community name. So the same thing is with their student, I have a communication. Then I have a community with this student. Both myself and the student will communicate through a different name. So that is why that type of different communication can happen due to the community based. Communicator is not secured in V1, no encryption. Remember that thing. That is highest one. Because whoever can access, whoever comes to know the password or the name, community name, can access the MIB available in any one of the agent, right? If suppose a manager is have a communication with the my agent, community name has been given to them, both come to know the community name. The third party is able to access that community name. He can able to access the agent MIB available with the agent. So it is V1 and V2. V2 is also not a very encrypted one. V1 and V2 try to use all those things. Later, people always speak about later stage. They come to know we need security, we need security, we need that security. People then they thought that version V3 can carry some different type of community name, or they can have a user relevant community name. So they change it up the community term, remove the community term, they use it up user that. So different type of security has been allocated for this one. Earlier they thought, they believe everybody is a good people, so they thought community name is enough for authenticating one another. So there's a relationship between an agent and managers. The name is a one, which is a password, you can call it up. Any name you can, it's a public or private, you can call it a default. Any names, discovery, anything used to validate the SNMP messages. SNMP password, it's a password. The naming is a password. Then default get community name is public. So what we are saying here is the default get community name is public. What it says is I am sending a query to the agent using a get upload get request. So I am sending a manager is sending a get request to the agent saying that along with that community name as a public. So it's a public is a, and the agent will check whether the public is the one which he is saying as a manager. Then he will allow them to access to whatever request they have placed it up. Suppose my agent carries, agent is a router, it carries how many routing tables available, all those information the manager is asking. Then it will send those information along with the get request, along with the community name, and put it across to the agent. Agent will check the community name because he thinks that is a very authenticated one. Earlier it was that. Then they check it up that. Then it comes to know, okay, this is public coming from this manager. So it will allow that get request messages to access its object, or I can say it up MIB, where the routers count, routing table counts, or the limitation threshold put it across. All this information can be gathered by these things. So it's like a simple thing. We have a simple name. Naming is used as an authentication purpose, and both can access these things. So if suppose that name is while checking, the agent checks whether the public is a community name which has been holding for that manager. If it is not so, then easily the agent send back there is an authentication failed trap message, notification message back to the manager saying somebody is asking. It's like a banking process, right? Always when you try to access some of the when you put across send us check, or you are accessing your banking services, something you are sending money or receiving money, something happens here, the bank will send back a message saying, if you are not the person, please inform or complain to this number, toll free number or anything. Like that way, it will send back a message saying, this person, this name person has been trying to attempt to access my MIB. If you are that person, please tell me. Or if it is not, check it out who has been doing it. That is not a very secured message. It is not a very security we are providing. We are just saying authentication is not acceptable because you are not the one who seems to be the person foreign manager. You are who tells me you have a public name and you are the manager and I am the agent. Communication through a community called public, right? So that is one way you are denying the authentication one. That's all. You are not checking, or you are not going to take action of the other person who comes and grab the name and utilize they try to get the information. Nothing would happen. It will send back the trap message because it cannot send it up, return back something way. It will send it up as a notification message back to the manager saying, this is something has gone wrong. You just have to put it across. Now we will see how this authentication schemes works across. Access rights in V1, V2 are managed by defining communities. In the community page, there will be a page available. In the SNMP, you go across and check it up in the net. There is every network softwares will run this thing. You will type the community is a type of shared password between the management station and the device. Management station is a manager, or you can call it they are the servers, like a service. Then the agent is the device is an agent, something like a client, which is used to authenticate the management station. Here, they have a 3 manager, they have a message, SNMP is an agent. This manager can have a different type of accessing rights to this agent, or he needs to access with the, hello? He need to get an access with the one or two objects in the MIB. He is also have 1 or 2 objects in the MIB. He to have a 5 or 4 or 5 objects in the MIB. So depending upon what type of policy or what type of agreement they both have, this community is able to interchange information or send it up information. That is why they have given many to one here. The community, they have a community name with this one. This person can have a public community name. this person, this communication, this 2, 3 and have a communication of private. These two has a community name of what you can call a profit or something, or discovery or something. So each one have a community name. Based on the communication happen between these two people, that accessing rights will be fixed agreement. Based on the agreement, they were allowed to access it. Suppose this agent have a 12 MIB, or it's maintaining 12 objects. Not every object will be open to every manager, every community they have tie up with. This manager will have a community tie up with the four object. This can have a 5 object. This can have a communication with the 3 object. That object only allowed to have access with this one, right? It's a simple thing. Yeah, how we are accessing this one. Here I have given a page which is normally happen in any SNMP application softwares which is available freely, or it's going to be a purchasing one. How you will add a community in this one? You can add it up in the community page. There will be an option available, add. You open the page. The page enables network manager define and configure SNMP communities. I just wanted to give it up. What is an SNMP community? What are the things required once you want to establish, or you want to have a community there? What they will ask is, what is an IP address in the management station field below? If you are a manager, then what is the station's management IP address would be? So they will enter it up there. Then support, what is an IP format? When you study the IP, you will come to know what is the format is going to be. If it is a VP address, if it is a V4 and V6 versions, depending upon that one. If it is a V6 version of the IP, it is not belong to any of the SNMP or anything. It is the IP, what you will see up in the later stage. If it is a VP or the V6 version, then you have to either one support will be happen there. So you can click which one is applicable. Then link local interface which is available. It's VLN2 or iStab tab. This is a tunnel link local. That is a link local interface. That is a link communication happens using that IP also. You can click it up. Now we are getting into management station. The management station IP address for which the community is defined. Who is defining that one? They will enter an IP address. Already you come to know the IP address in a dotted format, right? 4 dot formats, 3 dots available, 4 type. Click A, B, C, D, any whole thing comes across. Click all the indicate. We will leave the all, because unless we come to know what are the things available, we can. Then what we require is, first we require a SNMP station, management station IP address. So you're entering, once you want to create an IM community, you have to enter the IP address. Then you come to know what is a string, that is a password, you can have it up. Either it could be public, private, or any password you create it up. So enter the password used to authenticate the management station and the device itself. So it says one word, it is an octet, it will be converted in an octet, it will be there with you. Then they will see the basic, there is a mode available. Either it could be a basic mode. Then if it is the basic mode is available, there are no connection to any group. In this mode, there is no connection to any group. I am not going to connect with anybody. I'm just creating for the sake of creating a community name. So it's also community access levels are there. Either RO, here we will see it up access mode. And optionally for the qualify, if there is specify view, it is selected, enter the following way. I'm not going to in the basic mode. I'm just entering the access level mode. There is access level mode. There are 3 levels are there. One is read only, read write, SNMP admin, read write for all the MBs except the SNMP MBs. Here it says read only, any access right for the community. Community in a sense, one agent or so many agents or one manager. On one manager, so many agents or so many manager, one agent. Basically, one manager to agent, I can have a community name. And what are the requirements here, Gavis? You should know what is the manager ID, IP address. And based on the IP version, you will have addressing and everything. Then you need a name for that community string. Then you have to select whichever mode it's available for that one. If it is as an access mode, rather than the basic mode access mode, it says 3 rights will be available. Only read only. The manager can access to read only. It cannot make any changes in the agent side, right? That is a agent will carry the MIB, right? Then what you are allowing the manager is, if suppose the manager is having to access the IP table in the router is carrying an agent, the manager is the server who wants to access the IP table. He can just look it up and find and copy it up like a Excel sheet. He can look it up there. He cannot edit anything. He can utilize that information for their own purpose. That is all. That is read only. Then if it is read write, he can manipulate the IP table also. If the manager has have an access right, to that particular IP table object, then he can able to manipulate the IP table also. That is possible. So this is a second level. You can changes can be made in the device configuration, not on to the community. Community is not going to change. Then admin is a user has access to all the device configuration, permission to modify the community. That is, I am the admin. The manager is saying I am the admin of the devices which you are running on the router side. So whatever the router carries up as an operation side, or it's going to be an object or any data information it is having it, a characteristics or anything, I can able to change it up there. So that accessible. Read, write for all MIBs except the SNMP MIBs themselves. Okay, this is like a more or less, it's like an admin. It's right to read and write to access everything available except what are the SNMP MIBs available for that purpose, for the manager purpose. Now another one is view name. It's a view name part of database which access is granted. There is one, you have to select a view name, how you are viewing it up there. Then advanced is select this mode for the selected community. Group name, we are not into group name or anything. If you want to leave it up, there is nothing wrong in the SNMP community. So this is a way you can add it up a community. Definitely the community adding needs one manager, one agent. They have to give a name, they have given IP address, they have to what type of mode they are accessing it up, and what is the view you are having it up. BMI view, how you are viewing it there. MIB or BMI is going to be happen there. Then there is an advanced level. They have added up in a later stage. That's all. That is why the community has been established. Now there is a profile, we can call it up the community profile. How the profile will be looked at upon here. Here the MIB view is an agent is programmed to view only subset of manage object of the network element. So here a MIB view is one of the thing. How I am viewing that agent there. He is programmed to only the partial of the network element. It allow only the partial. I am having an IP table. IP table carries so many data with itself, parameters itself. But I am allowing only some parameter to be viewed by the manager who is asking that one. So that the agent is only allowed to view some of that manipulation, that object then that only allowed by the manager to view it. If a manager asks something to the agent to view and tell me what is all those things are happening in the IP table, they will look into the parameters which has been allowed by the MIB view. They will give it back to the manager. So there is agent also, because agent is not the one who should manipulate the data which is available in the MIB. Only the man under the manager instruction, he can manipulate the data. That is why the vision has been limited there, right? Access mode is each community name is assigned as an mode. Read only at it. You have seen that one. Community profile, we call it up the profile. Earlier I said one is community, then the profile. If we call it a community profile, it is a view a agent can have. Then the access mode, the agent will be allowed to do it up there. So it says a manager can do some access through the access mode, do some work on the agent object available in this one. That also through that agent who can have some parameters view, right? Suppose some of the IP table is having 10 parameters, then 3 parameters only allowed by the agent which is residing in the router to access and everything. Then the manager who is accessing this 3 parameter through that agent have the accessing right to write on that one, then only we can modify the 3 parameters. If we see only the read view mode, then we can only read it up there. So the operation on an object determined by the community profile, because the profile will define all those things. Access mode of the object there. Total of 4 access privileges you have seen earlier. Some objects such as table entry are not accessible, right? That is fine. You cannot manipulate something which has been predefined through that agent. Remember, through that agent you cannot be able to modify or anything, right? Now here having a complete profile of some of the examples of profile. Here these are the object. What I said, this is a MIB view access. This is a view 1. This is an MIB access. If it is read mode, the manager can have it up. This agent also have an access because the community has been given to them. He can read, write. He can write only. He can read only. This object is not accessible to this agent. According to the community profile which has been created with the manager, he cannot able to write anything on that object there. So it is not accessible for the view of the agent. So any manager who wants to access this object one cannot get the help of cannot form a link with the as a basis of the community with the agent to get that one. He has to use some other agent to get the view of those things. So here the SNMP access mode is going to be read only, read write. So either you read only or read write or write only. So these three things comes across in this one, because not accessible is not one which is going to be bothering the agent, because it is not you never allow some person to get into the your puja room. So something like that way, we will never allow somebody to enter. There is no need to worry about what is inside and why we should have it up. If you want to access something from the puja room, you will use a person who has been allowed to get into that puja room only, not the person who are not supposed to enter that. So it seems to be we have some personal privileges for that person to get into the puja room and collect the information or get it from it. So this communication happens is going to be decided by the profile, which says I will allow this person only get access to them. This person only modify this thing. So if you have a cook, you will allow the person in only the kitchen, and you never allow them into the bedroom or anything. So my communication that who is a employer and employee communication, that is a community we have formed between these two people, have some privilege or some policy, or you can call it up the profile, which says I can only allow that person to access the kitchen and inside the object which can be accessed by the agent there. So through that one, I can ask him to get me a coffee. So he has to, in order to get a coffee, that cook has to access to the sugar or coffee and milk and everything. So wherever it resides, we are allowing the person to get there and collect it up and make a coffee for you to get it. So like this way, the manager has allowed the agent, one of the agent, to access everything through their accessing mode and through their profile. And unless you employ the person, you cannot ask the person to do all those things. That employing is happening through the community profile there. So then access policy is administration model is an access policy. You have some policies, because unless you have a policy, you cannot say the agreement will be agreeable. Community pair with the SNMA community profile is some different profiles will be available. For this person, I have this profile. For this person, I have a profile. I will adopt the profile for this community. I can put it across. So that's I have given a policy, access policy in this one. It's a clear view of how it is going to happen in this one. I think almost we are entering that one. So I'll stop this one. We'll see it from the next class how it is going to be happen. Let me 1 second.